If you're watching this video, then you probably have heard of Saul Leiter before. And if you've dug a bit deeper, then you'll know he used long lenses, slide film, and he used a variety of different bits of gear to get his look. So today, you're probably going to think I'm going to tell you what settings he used and what exact piece of gear you can use to get the look and take the best cinematic film photos of all time, right?
Yeah, that ain't happening. If you're in this deep, then you might already know Leiter's background as a painter. So today we're going to look at his work not from a technical photography perspective, but from an art one. Now, I can't speak for him. A lot of his images might have been created on a subconscious level, so I can't speak for his motivations.
But by looking at his art, both painting and photography, then we can draw lines between the two. And I can help show you behind the curtain, and together we can explore what makes Leiter such a significant photographer.
Saul Leiter is quoted in saying his first love is painting. I believe this is where he draws much of his creative language from. More often than not, those things you experience in the formative years of being a creative is what sets you up down the line and helps you build a basic vocabulary and a set of tools to work from. As I started reading about his influences, it caught me off guard as I found similarities between my own tastes, and once I found this information, you can clearly see the influence in his work, and it probably explains why I'm such a fan myself. So his influences are noted as being the Impressionists and Japanese woodblock printing. This is really interesting when you think about it. So if this was to be some sort of cosmic timeline where everything is connected, then Japanese woodblock printing will be at the start point of this journey. A lot of the Impressionist painters were mad about Japanese woodblock printing and took inspiration from it, and it informed their own art. They were inspired by the way they played by a different set of rules to Western artists, a much more liberated sense of colour and a different way of depicting perspective. So if we look at Hokusai, one of the greats, his work was loved by all the big dogs of Impressionism. He directly influenced Monet, etc. So if we jump from Monet to Leiter's work, we can clearly see the mix of the two. His paintings often resemble printed landscapes, and the way he depicts light and colour clearly owes a debt to Impressionism and post-Impressionism. But there is also an extra dimension to this. There was a printer just before the time of Leiter called Kawase, who combined both Western and Eastern ideals to create his work, but his outcomes sometimes resembled Leiter's photography in the way that they were layered. I'm not sure how aware Leiter was of Kawase, but this could be a case of two creatives coming up with two separate outcomes but drawing from inspiration from the same place. This use of composition and layering can be seen in all of Leiter's work. I'd say it's his look. There's a way he can bring together elements and arrangement in such a satisfying way. It's miles away from the standard rule of thirds that keeps you looking and engaged. The lines that cut right across the frame. He has an ability to break a frame up into these big bold shapes, and often in some asymmetric arrangement. But these forms all work together. They are all connected and working together to bring balance to the image. In the same way, a painter will use broad brushstrokes and pops of colour to complement the other things in the canvas. His use of long lenses obviously helps contribute to these outcomes, but the gear he used only tells part of the story. To fixate on the gear in this context is missing the point of what is happening. Leiter, before even picking up his camera, has a clear idea of what his approach is, and he knows exactly what he wants to do. So in turn, he picks a lens in the same way that a painter picks up their brush. It's a tool for him to create. He didn't just use a camera, he jumped around a lot. So it wasn't a hidden special magical feature on one camera that was creating this look. It was years of artistic practice and development. So you're thinking now, I'm not a painter, so how am I going to be able to make images like Saul Leiter? The truth is, yeah, you're not going to make images like Saul Leiter. Why? Because you're not Saul Leiter. It's simple. Any attempt will be imitation and not the real thing. Obviously, there is no harm in trying out his techniques and studying him, and exploring his world to expand your own knowledge. And sometimes there's no harm at all in just doing it just for fun. Like today I'm going to take photos like Saul Leiter. Because the more you learn, the more it benefits you as a creative, because you have more of a tool set to draw from. So the real question you should be asking is not how I can take photos like Saul Leiter, but how can I make something as interesting as Saul Leiter? Creating an image that captivates, that's authentic, that's refreshing. The best way to do this is to draw on your own influences. So Saul was interested in fine art, but what do you like? Architecture, music, science, literature, film, anything at all. What are the things that interest you that subject could be used as a base of inspiration? Colours, geometry, a sense of drama, or a narrative. Is there a snippet of something, a detail that captures your imagination that you could use for a base for a photo project? So in this video we've gone from imitation to inspiration, interpretation to ideation, and the creation of something that's authentic to you creatively. Once you have this direction, that's when you can focus on the technical, what camera, what lens, what film, because those are the tools that help you with the execution of the idea. This is such an important skill for almost any creative, as you can apply it to a project and use it as a starting point. The first hurdle to a creative project can be the hardest one. So by having a tried and tested method of interpreting your own inspiration can make that first step and start building the momentum seamlessly. If you enjoyed this video, I have a few other videos where I talk about how art can be used to influence your photography. Also, I've got a Substack where I post semi-regularly about updates about the zine project and just little behind-the-scenes bits about the video. So check that, all the links in the description below, and affiliate links, etc., etc. And I'll catch you in the next one.